Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Dean.
Okay, sir. Tell folks a little bit about you, and then I want to throw some curveballs at you.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Thomas Hopkins. You'll hear me be called T-Hop around the industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a Thomas somewhere, so I go by T-Hop. But I started doing marketing on Facebook Canvas games back in the
Wow.
Farmville games,
Yeah.
and then from that went into mobile gaming and mid-core casino games. Then went into Lyft, head up passenger acquisition. Went from there to Masterclass, took them from Series B to Series D. And then since then been doing full-time growth marketing consulting, as either a fractional CMO,
Right.
fractional VP of growth, or, and I also run an agency now where I help clients grow their businesses.
All right. Maybe you might end up on my other podcast about CROs
Okay.
as well. Okay. So here's sort of scenario number one. Okay. A lot of your work is like mine is probably virtual, right? And yet you've just signed a new client in today's day one, and they're 5 minutes from your home. So you're actually going to walk into like the building, right? So as you're walking in on Monday morning on day one of a brand new engagement with a brand new client you've never worked with before, what's the nightmare scenario that you might end up walking into, and what's the dream scenario?
Let's see. Nightmare scenario is usually that they have. Let me start over. The dream scenario is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I walk in, and this happens probably 9 out of 10 times.
Good ratio.
The advertiser or the publisher or the company that I'm working with
Right.
will show me their data, give me access to everything. And I notice that all they're looking at is click-based attribution.
Right.
And when I see that, I'm like, great. I know I can make a 20, 30% difference easily overnight. Because usually what that means is they have the wrong marketing mix. Whenever you're using click-based attribution only, your marketing mix is off. And right. 9 out of 10 times it means that you're undervaluing the display networks like PMax and Facebook, and overvaluing the click-based attribution like Google search and
right.
things like that, or affiliates. So that's a great scenario, because then I can come in and offer immediate value within 1 month. The nightmare scenario is along the exact same lines. When I'm like, great, we're only using click-based attribution. And then I try to explain to the finance team and try to explain to the leadership team that this data is wrong and that we can't trust it. And I get a lot of pushback. And that's where I have to spend a lot of time basically saying, can you just trust me? The CEO brought me in here because I have done this for many companies and I know what I'm doing. So just trust me and do these two things, and then we'll see the difference. And so the nightmare scenario is when I have a lot of pushback on the desire to follow the status quo, which is the click-based attribution. And that can be, when I say click-based attribution, that's trusting the MMP data outright and not doing the probabilistic MMMs, or how did you hear about us, or platform reported data, and just saying, well, we have our click-based data, and this is our source of truth.
Then let's talk about this then. Let's imagine it's not day one anymore. Let's skip ahead to day 90. Right? And you're in a C-suite kind of meeting, or a board meeting, or just like a high-level meeting, and folks say, we saw the value of bringing you in, or someone like you, like up front, but the real aha moment for us was when what? When's the aha moment in the first 90 days for a client, if they have one, when they truly see like what you're doing and the value of it?
The real aha moment comes when they see their top line number and their overall business numbers just improving drastically. So let's say you have a company that normally does, $5 million a month, and their margins 10%, let's say. And I come in and I say, okay, do my analysis. And I say, you need to change your media mix. A, and B, here are all the things you need to change on these channels, be it Facebook or Google, podcast, radio, but usually it's Facebook and Google first. Make those changes, and yeah, you get a couple of good wins in the first month. But then usually by month three, then to month three or day 90, the business is doing wildly different. And your year over year performance, instead of 5 million, we're at 7 million. We're
Right.
at 8 million that month. And that's when the CEO goes, what is going on? What did we change?
Right.
How is this happening? And so that's usually when the board gets involved. When they go, wait, what happened with the business? What's changing? What do we need to know that we should be thinking about in terms of our next round of investment?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's usually the target. Really make
All
it
right.
so that they're
All
like,
right.
wow, we have a completely different business on our hands now.
Right. Cool. Okay, so different scenario now. You're on stage. You're the keynote speaker. You're talking to an audience, 250 people in the audience. Okay, they all just came out of corporate somehow, and they all became fractional CMOs yesterday. Like they're brand new to this. I'm going to give you 3 sentences, and just fill in the rest of the sentence with however many words or ideas it takes to get the point across. Okay. So the first one is, okay, like you're all fractional CMOs, you're all just starting out. I'm going to tell you now, starting out today as a fractional CMO or marketing consultant, the thing you're going to be most shocked by is,
Yeah. Starting out today as a fractional CMO, the thing that
right,
you're going to be most shocked by is how far behind most companies are in understanding their growth funnel and understanding their metrics.
right. All right. And then the next one is, what you'll find is many clients, your sort of dovetails into this. It sounds like many clients just don't understand what,
You'll find out that many clients just don't understand attribution. They just don't understand how important MarTech is and getting your MarTech right to make sure
yeah,
that all of your platforms are learning the right data and you're teaching them properly. And that today we're a very programmatic marketing system. Everything's computer analyzed, everything works on AI. And so
right.
making sure that you're feeding the machines properly is super important. And you'll see that most of the clients don't really understand that, and they don't really have their system set up right.
All right, good. And then finally, they're sort of, they're trying to usher you off the stage, right? Some intern is saying, "Okay, like you've used up your time." It's like the Oscars and the music's coming up, right? But by God, you're not gonna get off that stage until you tell them one more thing. And it says, "Look, before I go, the most important thing I can tell you about finding or getting new clients
Yeah.
is what."
The most important thing about finding or getting new clients is that you have a massive network
Yeah,
of people that you know, that you've worked with in the past over the past 10, 20 years. And if you just set up an email them and let them know, hey, I'm a fractional CMO now, I'm a fractional growth leader, within a week or two, you're going to have a full stack of business. You're like, oh my God, I'm a full-time growth, fractional marketer now.
right on. That's good. I don't think anyone has actually ever said, this is episode 182. I don't think anyone's ever said, email everyone in your contact list, like literally everyone. But you don't know where an opportunity is going to come from, or who knows who.
Yeah, it comes from the people you worked with
Yeah,
6 years ago, one
yeah,
year ago, and it just, like, I had somebody I interviewed for a company with, 4 years ago, and I just sent them an email like, hey, I'm available if you're interested, and they said, well, perfect timing. We just let go our VP of growth. If you're available, let's talk.
right,
Within 3 days, I was working up half time for them, and it was great.
right on. That's awesome. Okay, so they finally got you off stage. You were determined to stay on stage, but they got you off. And this is part of a bigger conference, so you're out onto the conference floor, right? So there's booths and there's a lot of people walking around, a lot of prospective clients, and you're
Yep.
talking and meeting a lot of prospective clients, right? As you're talking to them, you've never met them before. This is first interaction, right? Uh, and they talk to you about marketing, and you're talking to them about marketing. What do they tend to overrate, and what do they tend to underrate when it comes to growing their marketing expertise and prowess, and maybe bringing you in for it? What's overrated these days in marketing talk, and what's underrated?
Um, this is going to be controversial. What is overrated is good creative.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about amazing creative. You got to have amazing creative. I haven't found that to be true. And the reason being is that if you take more of a content marketing approach, you
Right.
don't have to have great creative.
Yeah.
Um, and then what's underrated is that massively underrated is the I'd say two things are massively underrated. Number one is understanding your attribution and where the value is
Right.
coming from, and number two is the Martech. And what I mean by Martech is, uh, do you have CAPI set up for Facebook? Do you have Conversions API? Are
Mhm.
you passing the right data back to Meta, right data back to Google? And are you picking the right event to optimize towards? And that would be the thing that's underrated.
And then when you're talking to prospective clients, what's like a red flag and what's a green flag as they start talking about their business and what they're looking for?
The biggest red flag for me
Mm-hmm.
is we've been working for 4 years and we're still trying to figure out product market fit.
Right.
The biggest green flag for me is we've been working for 4 years. We grew by 40%, 50%, 100% a year. And now we're flat and we don't know why. For me, when
Okay.
I hear that, I'm like, it's music to my ears because I'm
Yeah.
like, I know I can come in and get their trajectory back on
Right.
track.
Their fundamentals are in place. They've just plateaued. And so there's like, now it's time to level up.
Yeah. And it's usually that they got there because they had great product market fit and
Right.
they had decent growth market fit. So they had a few channels that they could grow their business profitably, but they didn't set them up right. And they aren't looking at their data right now that they've grown to their, 50 million a year, 70 million a year mark. And they need to
Right.
up level their game to bring it to the next level that can get them to that 100, 200, 300 million a year.
Right. All right. When you meet other fractional CMOs or marketing consultants, like, is there like a question you like to ask them, and what do they normally answer with?
I think the hot topic for me right now, that is an unknown topic,
Right.
is um, the hot topic for me right now that's an unknown topic is how do you value anything that's happening before you capture somebody's email address?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's a lot of things that happen before you capture an email address. If you can
yeah.
think about a buying experience, let's say you're buying a car. And one of my clients was the biggest dealership in San Diego with multiple locations. And you're buying a car and you don't decide today to give the company your email address that you're going to buy a car. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're thinking about buying a car for 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year. You're like, oh, my car's getting old. I got to think about buying a car. And so you start browsing, you start looking, and what do we get on in our data as a marketer? You get, okay, a lead came in. They're interested in a
Right.
Toyota Corolla. You're like, okay, well, what happened for the previous 6 months? All the impressions, all the landing page visits. And with data today and how dispersed it is and how it's so hard to connect the dots between users because of cookie tracking limitations and cookie clearing, it makes it extremely hard. So I love talking about how are we valuing all the marketing that we're doing upper and mid funnel rather than just looking at the mid to bottom funnel.
Right. Oh, yeah. All right. Do people ever like surprise you with their answer?
The reason I ask it all the time is because I
They
don't
don't have an
know if there's
answer.
a right answer. So
All right. Fair enough.
it's a really fun conversation because there is like nobody's figured it out yet. And if
Yeah.
I'm really honest, the companies that actually really get it are the companies that are $1 billion companies.
Yeah.
And it's because they're dealing more with market share than they're dealing with growing year over year. It's more about growing market share.
Right.
And so all the little micro changes in awareness and consideration make a massive difference in the company. Whereas when you're small, you're just thinking about how do I grow 30, 40% every year.
Right.
And you haven't hit that point where your industry is saturated and you're competing against a bunch of other companies for the same users.
Right. All right. Thomas, this has been fantastic, man. This is like I'm I usually like to have two guests, but sometimes you get one guest and
Yeah,
they're like so different. Their experience is so different than everyone else's that I'm glad that it was just you.
that's great,
So
man.
yeah, who should be reaching out to you these days, and what's the best way to get to you?
Yeah. So any CEO out there or CMO out there that your Series A, Series B company,
Right.
business is doing well, but you have this feeling that you're just not growing as fast as you could, or you know things have slowed down in terms of growth, or even plateaued. I'm somebody that can come and help with that. I have done this for multiple companies, whether it's in the you know women's health space, the CPG space, the subscription space.
Right.
I have a vast background in that, and I've helped multiple companies, to grow their businesses. And I just do it on a monthly fractional basis. And then at times I have clients too where I can turn them into helping them on an agency basis, because I have an agency as well,
Right on.
where we do two things. One is content marketing for companies, because I find that that's a massive area for opportunity for most
Yeah.
companies. And number two is through a brand tracker that we've built that is amazing for B2B companies. It's a hole in the market right now, but it's a way that I can understand market share. I can understand awareness consideration to better pinpoint exactly what we need to do to grow better and quicker. And the easiest way to reach out to me is just on my LinkedIn account. So
Right.
linkedin.com /in/T Hopkins.
All right.
You can also find me on growthops.us.
All right. All right. This has been fantastic. That's been great. All right. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching, everyone. You're probably watching a clip, but thanks for it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.